Hey folks, and welcome back to the Firefighters Podcast, where we speak to the first responder community all over the world, seeking to develop, inspire, and motivate this incredible group of people. Before we jump into today's episode, just do us a favor and hit that rate, follow, or subscribe button on whatever platform you're listening. It's a real performance indicator for the podcast, helps us reach even more people and connect with that wider world of the first responder community. Now here's what I've got for you today. Now in September 2022, I was lucky enough to board a flight to Vietnam, where I'd be jumping in swamps, climbing up hills, and taking on one of the toughest challenges with an entire group of incredible, crazy, quirky, amazing, and inspiring individuals who I'm lucky enough to call my friends, as we all went over and took part in SAS Who Dares Wins. Now with any kind of TV production, they are always constrained to fit the absolute best bits into a short window of time. So as you won't be surprised to hear, there is so much more to these individuals than meets the eye. So on this mini series of podcasts, you get to listen in as I catch up with this incredible group of people. We discuss the good, the bad, and the ugly as it comes to SAS Who Dares Wins, our favorite instructors, our biggest challenges, and also learn a little bit more about what drives them, what inspires them, and how this journey was for them. It's been so much fun reminiscing and catching up. So if you are sitting comfortably, let's buckle up for safety and get in there with today's episode. I'll see you on the other side.
Hello.
How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. You?
Oh, I am fantastic. It's a stunning day now. It's gotten a lot colder though. Jesus Christ. I felt like it's dropped since we've come back.
Do you not think it was a proper shock, like from coming out there and coming home? I was just like, "What? Who turned the heating off?" Like,
I think as well it was the whole humidity and the closeness that was out there. It was a whole like environmental shock, wasn't it? I really loved that side of it. I think it was a big dynamic for some people as well, though.
yeah, definitely. And the one thing, the benefit that I've got from it is that I don't sweat as much, which is just amazing. Like I go to the gym and I'm like, I don't sweat anymore.
I don't think you weren't one of the worst sweaters anyway. There was some of us, obviously I feel like just sweated constantly for the whole thing. Anyway, how are you doing? How are you feeling coming back to it all? How's life recalibrating?
Yeah, it's been really good. I feel like I'm really busy, like all the time. That I literally don't have time to breathe. But that's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. I'm keeping busy, I suppose.
Was that something that was present kind of before you went out there, or is this like a new thing that since you've come back?
I've always been quite busy. Like I keep myself busy because I'm not very good when I'm left to my own like headspace or like boredom. I'm really awful with boredom. But obviously since I've come back, I've had this new like thing to like do my PT, to do nutrition and things like that. And obviously I'm so keen to get it done. I'm one of these people that once I get an idea in my head that I want to do something, I want to do it now. Okay. So I'm just dying to get it done, and I'm so enjoying learning it all at the same time. I want to do it all the time. And probably not realistically thinking how many hours of it I'm doing can actually fit into my life.
Yeah, it is a big thing. I mean, I did my level 3 probably 10 years ago now. I'm sure it's come a long way since then. But why did you have that desire coming back? You know, what snapped or changed or what awoke within you? Because I know when you came back, and we sort of got a bit of a WhatsApp group going on for people that are unfamiliar with it. I mean, you came back with a whole new lease of energy and drive and hunger to start getting after something.
I think because I did nutrition before, I worked for the NHS and did weight management classes and stuff. But once I lost my daughter, I stepped away from it only because I didn't really deal very well with listening to people's trivial or excuses to why they ate bad and things like that. But I know how much the gym and exercise has mentally helped me so much. And I suppose being with people that also carry their mental struggles and how much the drive and ambition they all have as well. And for exercise, how much it does them all really well. I kind of think there's something that I want to be able to give to other people. I want people to come to me and I want to help them not only physically feel better, but mentally feel better as well.
This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Gore-Tex Professional Fabrics. Now, we all know the working environment of a firefighter is filled with challenges. We face serious risks on the job, such as heat exhaustion, burns, physical and mental stress, and we frequently come into contact with high levels of toxic chemicals. Now, I have been wearing Gore-Tex for nearly 2 decades on the front line, working in hostile environments, tackling challenging incidents from firefighting to water incidents and in urban search and rescue environments. Gore-Tex have a well-earned reputation for protecting professionals in the fire and emergency services through their family of highly innovative, waterproof, breathable moisture barriers that exceeds global performance standards and are trusted worldwide. Gore-Tex, going further together. When you say you went into that kind of dark place or something you struggled with, because I know it's something we kind of connected about when we were out there. Because I know everybody's journey, to be fair, is always very personal to them. But me and my wife miscarried twins before we had our daughter Lily. But when I know a number of other people, because it's like 1 in 3 people that have miscarriages, but your journey wasn't necessarily that same kind of struggle. What actually happened with your daughter?
So when she was 2.5, she just started becoming unwell in the morning, just like throwing up after she'd had breakfast. And then she'd kind of have like this little lull in the day after that, where she just was a bit tired and just feeling generally unwell. But then she'd get up around lunchtime and just be completely her normal self. And this went on for about a week. So I ended up taking her to the doctors. After I tried little things like I took her off milk in the morning thinking she might have milk allergies and things like that, changed her diet a little bit. And the doctor said she's just got a gastro bug, and just to keep an eye on her. And then I took her to the park a couple of days later just to get out of the house, have a bit of fresh air. And I put her on the floor because she just wanted to be carried everywhere at this point. And she was running, and she literally just started running literally sideways. And I just remember grabbing her, picked her up, rung 111, who said I needed to be in my home address for them to accept my call.
What the fuck?
Yeah, they said I had to be at my home address. So I literally ran back to my house, and then they gave me an emergency doctor's appointment about 11 o'clock at night. It was something really late. So I dropped my son, who was 4 at the time, to my mum's, took her to the doctors, and she basically said, yeah, there's something not right because she hasn't kept any fluids or food down for like days. I'm saying like 5-6 days.
Wow.
We'll take her to A&E. They then monitored her for hours, I had to give her fluids for a syringe because she just refused to drink at that point. And what fluids I gave her came up, and I had to fill out this chart. I think it was like about 4 to 6 hours, something like that. Okay. They then took her actually into a bed, said, we don't really think there's anything wrong with her. I think you need to go home, just monitor her. And at that point, I completely lost my shit and said, no, I'm not taking her home. I want someone else's opinion. And luckily by this time, it was the morning. So the doctors changed over.
Yeah.
And luckily the doctor that we had at the time said she needs to go for a scan. So they did her a CT scan on her brain. And then they told us they'd found a tumour on the back of her brain. So it was just at the top of her spinal cord, right at the top. And then we got rushed to Great Ormond Street Hospital within literally an hour. And the next day she had surgery to remove it.
Bloody hell.
And then we was in there for good 10 days, I would imagine. Might have been a bit short.
What was going through your head at this point in time? Because things rapidly seem to have changed gears.
Like my whole world just like exploded in front of my face. Like it was just the worst thing ever. Um, yeah, so she had surgery, and the doctors, the nurses at Great Ormond Street Hospital literally could not thank them enough. They were absolutely excellent. They were there 24/7. I lived in the hospital. My partner was allowed to come and go. They left, kept him, they let him have a room by the hospital as well, so he was only like 5 minutes away. My son stayed with family the whole time. He came up for visits. But yeah, I didn't
How
see
old
him.
was your son at that time? Sorry.
He was 4.
Okay. So just starting to get an understanding for, well, obviously he knew he had a baby sister.
Yeah,
So he understood that she wasn't very well, I'm guessing.
yeah. But yeah, for like a 4-year-old to understand what's going on is like massive.
Yeah.
Um, and she started to recover. She was doing really well in hospital. Um, we was under the conditions that if she met her food, water intake quotas for the day, that she'd be able to come home. And we kind of thought, right, this is the first. Obviously, we know this wasn't the end, because with any brain tumours as well, they can't completely remove 100%, because obviously there is
You
they
can't
might
just go
damage
cutting
the
parts of the
brain.
brain out because the body
Yeah,
just begins to shut down and things won't work. So
yeah,
it's always a balancing act between what sort of life you intend the person to live afterwards if you start removing part of their functions, basically.
yeah. So we obviously knew that we'd have more treatment going on afterwards, but it wasn't something we ever. But at this point, that was still a massive positive thing for
Mm.
us. We were thinking, right, well, she's going to come home for a bit, then we're going to do this treatment.
Yeah, this was
Um,
all part of a path to recovery.
yeah. Um, it was. She just started. So Darcy literally had no hair for a very long time.
Bless
And she
her.
literally just started growing these blonde, like curly locks.
Oh,
And then she had to have it all shaved off at the back as well.
oh.
So we was all planning on doing the same thing, shaving all her hair off, like just
Yeah,
so she
yeah.
went on her own. She liked wearing bows in her hair all the time. She always had a bow in her hair. And even after her surgery, I took her for a bath, and she turned around and she looked in the mirror, and she looked really upset that she had this massive bandage on her head. And I was like, don't worry, mummy will sort it. And I put a massive pink bow on her hair, and she was all like, oh, at least I can wear my hair back.
I love that.
Just to wear our bows.
God.
um, yeah, so we had all these plans to then what's going to happen when she comes out. We was like, we're going to take her here, we're going to take her there. We're going to decorate her bedroom. She's going to have a princess castle bed, and just trying to do all these things that would obviously make her life a
Mm.
little bit more special than it already was. Um, and then it got to a few days before we left the hospital, before we left Great Ormond Street. And I don't know why, but I all of a sudden got this like really dreaded feeling that I didn't want to take her home. I think having doctors and nurses around 24/7 that can tell you what's right and what's wrong, and then to go home, it was just a massive scary thing. Um, or I don't know if it was just my gut feelings telling me something.
This isn't over yet,
Um,
yeah.
but we took Darcy home for the weekend. We come home on the Friday, and then on the by the Sunday, she was really poorly again, being sick, was really lethargic. So we went back to Great Ormond Street Hospital, and they said possibly it could be that she had fluid retention on where she had surgery, and that they could just put a drain in to her stomach to drain the fluid out, so it would send it straight down to her stomach, and then her stomach would remove it out of her body. Um, and then while we was waiting to go into surgery, she just started to really deteriorate. She was having fits, and basically not coming out of real consciousness. Um, they took her down to have her surgery, and they basically re-scanned her and said that her tumor had come back twice the size as it was before they removed it.
Such a short period of time.
In such a short period of time. And then she went to ICU because she didn't wake back up again. And we kept her in the ICU for as long as we could. We had like hundreds of doctors talking about her, what's the best thing to do. And the long and short of it was that they said she's basically got 1 in 1 million chance of ever recovering or waking up. And out of that 1 in 1 million chance, she's got 1 in 1 million chance of ever living a normal life.
Is that even relevant when you're at that moment though? And I'm not saying it's not, but you know what I mean? Like when somebody says to you, if for me as a parent, all I hear is, so you're telling me there's a chance. And I don't know, does the statistic mean anything to you at that point? Did it help you in any decision making? Because things must feel like they're going they feel like they're going a million miles an hour, or does it feel like life stands still?
Yeah. I think if I didn't have Riley, and if maybe other things, but just to watch your kid just be that unwell and just suffer, I think it's just the worst thing in the world. And I just wanted her to be restful. It was the worst thing. Every single one of my family members and my partners went in and spoke to these doctors, and they basically was like, look, there may be a tiny, tiny, tiny chance, but it's like in the whole world, like that's like one person.
Yeah.
So they kind of say you've got a chance, but you know, it's not really possible. And then, yeah, you basically have to make a decision of whether or not to leave your child on life support for eternity or not. That decision only lasts with you for a certain amount of time before it then turns into their decision, obviously.
How long do they give you to decide?
They don't necessarily put a date on it.
Yeah. But you never know when something's going to change. And like you say, if something changes to her physiologically, then your decision gets taken away from you, I suppose.
Yeah, and it just happened so quickly. It was, and obviously we did have Darcy taken off life support in the end, which obviously wasn't at all the easiest decision, and it's something that you question every day as well. But my argument for it is that she would never have had a life.
Yeah.
She may have breathed or by a machine or something like that, but she never would have lived.
Yeah.
So that's the way I kind of look at it. And for Riley as well, I would have taken away at his age, at 4 years old. He needed his mum and his dad, and I would have taken that away from him as well. I could still be in that hospital every single day now, even 6 years on, just waiting for that chance. And I don't think it would have been fair to him or my partner or other people in my life either, as much as I don't think it would have been fair for her to just leave her in that way. Do you know what I mean?
No, I totally know what you mean. Yeah, people never really have that. And I mean, and I know people like Rainbows and Hospice and people like that are really great at trying to help people get that perspective. But people don't often have that perspective on things like the siblings, and how sometimes even the siblings can become almost full-time carers for child with physical or mental difficulties as well. It really is something the entire family goes through, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, 100%. And I think me and my partner just both had to think about all of us and what wasn't only the best for Darcy, but for the best for Riley as well. And there isn't a day goes by that doesn't, I don't think, what was it a wrong thing to do, or could I have done this? Even I go back to things like even when she was born, and did I do that right? Or did I do this right? Or could it have affected this? Could have affected it? Could have that affected it? There's not a single moment in my life that things don't pass through my head like that.
How do you go on after that then? What did the next? Because like I say, this is 6 years ago. What did that next months, years look like for you?
Um, if I hadn't have had Riley, I think it would have been very different. Um,
Different how?
I don't think I probably would have even got out of bed, let alone even been alive. um, because that very moment, I did just want to lay down and die next to her. I really did. Um, but I had to go home and I had to look after Riley and explain to him what had happened. And obviously, for a 4-year-old, trying to understand it is really hard.
Yeah.
So obviously, I had to be strong for him as well. He's seen his mum cry more times than I think a kid ever should. But yeah, he was starting school that year, and he literally went his first day to school, I think, 2 3 days after.
Bloody hell.
Um, so I had to sort his uniform out. I had to pack his lunchbox. I had to take him to school. Um, I had to do all them things for him. So had he have not been there, I think I probably would have just withered away somewhere. Um, so he was completely my rock, and I couldn't be more grateful for him.
How do you think it's affected? Because this is something we discussed about yourself and Riley and the whole situation. Because Riley's the same age as my daughter now, and I was interested when we were talking about how it's affected the way that you parent him and whether or not you feel like he gets the same freedoms or opportunities because you're such an unfortunate uniqueness whereby you know what it's like to lose a child. And again, I wrongly try to compare it to other people that have had miscarriage. It's not really the same at all because by 2 years of age, it's a person, it has a name and a personality, and it's your child. As much as we say they're always part of our family, when they're 2 years old, it's a proper person, isn't it? They've got a character and they've got their own ways about doing things. And
Yeah.
how did that change the way that you saw things with Riley, and how did that change the way you went about trying to carry on with life and relationships?
Um, it's really hard because on one side, I want Riley to experience everything in life. I don't want him to ever fear anything. I want him to go in 100% with everything. And if he wants to abseil buildings, do it. If he wants to jump out of aeroplanes, do it. I want him to experience the most he can out of life, because I always say you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. And that's the long and short of it. Um, at the same time, every time he leaves my house without me, it literally makes me feel sick. I I worry about him probably more than I should. And he would probably say that I'm really overprotective. He's really into parkour, which I love that he does, but I can't watch him do it because it makes me feel sick.
Wait till he sees the sort of shit you've been doing in Vietnam.
I know.
Crazy bitch. Oh God.
Yeah, I know, and he's going to throw that in my face 100% as well.
Oh, well, I can
Um,
do that as well then, mummy.
yeah.
Bless him.
Um, so it is really hard. I kind of have to um put certain fears that I have to the back of my mind to make sure that I know he's still getting the best out of life. Because,
Mm.
like I said, I I personally, if I did throw myself out of an aeroplane and I splattered on the floor, I that does not scare me whatsoever. It's more losing people I love that I think petrifies me more than anything.
Mm.
Um, I dealt really badly, had anxiety, awful anxiety, over things like that over the years that somehow even just applying to go on the show helped me a lot with. Um,
That's something I wanted to ask you about because when you live so much for other people, such a reliance on you from your children and from your family and people that need you to be there for them, what can often happen is we sacrifice so much of ourselves, emotionally, of our hobbies, even our personality, and sometimes we can kind of forget who we even are.
yeah.
Who was, when you were applying for the show, because it's something I really wanted to ask, who was Becca and what was left of that person that before she even had children was like.
Do you know what? Even the DSs, when I went into the mirror room and Billy asked me, "Who are you and what do you do?" And I was like, um, "I'm Becca or Becky from Basildon, and I don't do anything." And sort of was like, what do I do? And he was like, "Well, you're a mum and a housewife and you do loads of things." And I was like, "Well, yeah, but I think I kind of you just become, I don't know if it's just mums in general, you just become a mum and a housewife and then you kind of lose who you are."
Such
Um
a common trait. So many people have that. They just give, even emotionally, financially, physically, you've given your body, you've given your lifestyle. And then as you transition out of that, because that's something we were talking about, as Riley
yeah.
becomes 11, 12, 13, 14, and he's out doing parkour now, he won't want to be by your side all the time. And this is such an incredible new chapter of your life, which kind of, just coincided with this crazy adventure.
Yeah. And I think that is why I also came out and decided to do my personal training because I did think about that. Yeah, in 5 years' time, what am I going to do?
Mm.
Even in a few years' time, because now I'm looking at secondary. He's going to secondary school next year, and
Mm.
once he stops needing his mum to take him to school and pick him up, like, what am I doing with my
Yeah,
day?
Lily walks herself to school now, and I'm just like, because sometimes I still work from home when I'm not on shift and stuff like that, and I'll be like, "Do you want me to bring the puppy into school?" And no, why would you do that? I'll just text you and let you know I'm on the way home. Oh, okay. It's
Yeah,
just kind of like, and it's what you want. Ironically, you want to create that strong, independent,
yeah,
brave, gregarious, playful, incredible human being, but they have to do that away from you.
yeah. And yeah, that is really scary. So yeah, so now I'm trying to concentrate on myself a little bit more and do things that I want. I mean, over the last 5 years, I have been going to the gym a lot. And it's probably the only place that I'm just myself. I'm not anyone's mum there, I'm not anyone's wife. I'm just me doing what I like to do.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's definitely where I feel myself.
So, how did you go from someone that just enjoys going to the gym and deciding to go on this crazy SAS Who Dares Wins show?
I don't know. Do you know what? It was on a whim that I actually applied for SAS and somehow I managed to get in. I came back from holiday um, in Cyprus. My friends got married there. And I came back and I caught COVID. So my husband locked me in the conservatory for the whole
Oh, this
time.
guy.
I had COVID, yeah, like stay away from us. And I basically binge watched the latest series of SAS, and something in my brain just went, I could do that. And yeah, then I just crazily applied for it. And the next thing I knew, I was like going for my fitness test, and then they was like, "Yeah, you're on the show," and I was like, "What? What?"
Fucking hell.
Yeah.
When did it really become real to you? Because for me, and obviously for all of us, I feel like even like 2 weeks before, it was kind of like, yeah, you're on it, but we'll tell you the dates when we kind of know them, and there's a few things. It was like it was just crazy the way that it kind of just all came to fruition straight away, and then just a car comes to pick you up and you're off.
Yeah, I know. And yeah, honestly, I still to this day cannot believe that we went and did it and it was actually real. I can't. I don't think until we watch it on TV
No,
will
I
I.
don't, because at the minute, like you say, no one, it's like you've had a dream and you kind of look at people next to you who are very close to you, because when this comes out, people will have seen the show. But like for us now, I've obviously told you people close to you, your partner, stuff like that. But even they're like, oh, yeah, okay. And they're interested, but they're also like, they've not seen it. So it's like it didn't really, it might as well have been a dream.
It really does feel like that.
How much of it can you piece together in your mind in terms of, when we landed there? What did you think when you first heard it was Vietnam?
I was really excited because out of all the places, I thought, well, I naively thought that the jungle may be the best environment for me to be in. Hell no, because you don't actually realise how humid and how hot it is, as well as being wet. That's just a horrible combination.
Hmm.
And I obviously we have not experienced the other terrains, but
No.
I can imagine that the jungle is probably one of the worst ones.
I think it probably is, to be fair. And again, I know they kind of give that spin on it no matter what. And they talk about how tough each environment is. But then when you look at a lot of operations and missions, and if you've ever read some of the books and biographies and stuff like that, jungle training is just a whole nother gear in terms of the body just rots. It just continually rots and breaks down. It's more of a war of attrition as to when is, not if your body's going to break, but when is your body going to break, because
Yeah,
it just rots and deteriorates whilst you're there.
that is probably definitely how I felt as well.
Hmm.
Even the mental side of it, I just felt like I couldn't give any more at that point of VWing.
Hmm.
Um, Even though I went back to the hotel, had a shower, brushed my hair, which like I couldn't even. I literally, Pete, I sat
You're
and
fucking
brushed my hair.
orgasmic. You're like, oh, Jesus Christ.
I was brushing my hair for about 2 hours as well, just like enjoying every moment of it.
Yeah.
Um, but then I was like, I can go back now. I could do this,
Yeah.
which is really mad because at the time you're just like, even after day one, I was sitting there thinking like, I can't like these people are just saying, girls, I can't keep up with you all.
I think everybody had kind of ideas of that though, because I mean, when we first kind of saw each other was when we first really got thrown onto that truck and we got driven down to the river, and then we all kind of clambered onto these boats. What was your mindset like then? Because that's when it really kind of got real. It's the first time we really saw all the cameras and all that sort of stuff, and then we were in this beautiful environment, punting
Oh,
down a river,
I
and
mean,
then it was just, turning the corner and seeing all the DS was like, fuck yeah.
I was so excited at that point, and then 5 minutes later, crying internally that this was probably the worst thing I've decided to do ever.
Talk us through that first, like when they said, right, jump off the boats, bang, go. Where was your head at, and what was that next 20 minutes like?
I
Or probably
think
a
it was
few
just
hours.
like, right, you just got to get through, just get through it. Um, I very much take my workouts as in that when I start struggling, like when I go running and things like that, when I start struggling, I just go right. I then start breaking my workouts down to like, right, just do this 10 sets of this, or
Yeah.
you've got to do just reach to the next K marker, or if you're swimming, just do 5 more lengths. And then I'll go, right, done that 5, right, I can do another 5.
Yeah.
So it was kind of very much like, right, so I've just got to swim to the edge of that point, get there, and then it'll be the next thing. But also not knowing what the next thing is. And sometimes them telling you what the next thing is worse. Like when we had that feasting on the square,
Yeah.
and they're like, right, we're going to do this for another hour. My body inside literally just went, no, no.
You're gonna do it for another hour. I'm fucking not.
Yeah. But
I think
then
the
all
first
of a
beasting was crazy for people because I think people anticipated we were going to get changed out of our clothes and
yeah,
into the other stuff, whereas it was just up and down the stairs, press ups, bunny hops, burpees, and then we went to the swampy area. We went through all the mud and crawling through the. We did all of
yeah.
that, wasn't it? That was the first lot.
Was that the first day? I keep
Yeah, I think
forgetting.
because we were. I know. Remember, we were still in our kit because we were carrying people in our own clothes. We were carrying people down that road in our own clothes. I distinctly remember that.
Oh, okay.
You know, when it
Yeah,
was like it was a lap. You had to do a lap of this
yeah.
thing, and you had to go left off the road through all of these trees and undergrowth
And
and
we all
mud,
went through
and
the
then
water.
yeah,
Was
yeah,
it?
and then you go across the road again and into the water, and it was crawling, and then you sat in the water at the end of it, waiting for the next lap to begin, getting fucking leeches and
Yeah.
everything on it. I distinctly remember being in our clothes for a few reasons. A, I caught a photo of us all in, when we're all sat in the swamp.
Ah, yes.
We've got all our photos, and I distinctly remember, bless her, Aaliyah, because she was wearing like a really nice like workout outfit or something. I mean, everybody looked nice, but she seemed to have something on that was like she was going to be on a show. And I distinctly remember thinking, like, that's a fucking terrible idea, but that's going to be ruined. Bless her.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we were. That was the first day.
And we
I'm
got
glad you
loads done.
pieced a bit of the puzzle.
Honestly, when you hear everybody else that's been on the podcast talking about it, it all kind of brings itself together. And that's why, like I was saying, it's so great to have these chats as early as possible because so much of it we forget. Because then we went back, and that was our first sort of interaction with what the base was looking like, and then we had bedding in with everybody. How did you find being around 20 strangers?
I thought I'd find it really hard, to be honest with you, because I sometimes like my own space. As much as I'm a people person and I love to chat to people, I do like to spend some time on my own.
Mm.
Um, and I thought I would struggle with that, but I absolutely loved it, and I loved every single one of you. I think everyone was just amazing. It was so nice to get to know everyone as well. I
Mm.
thoroughly enjoyed that part.
I loved it. I mean, it was incredible to see how different characters started to blend and how people's approaches and sort of resolution, the way they coped with it as they went day after day, because it wasn't too far into it. I mean, I think it was, in fact, was it day one? Was it day one? No, it was day two we lost Charlotte. We lost Charlotte on day two. That was the
Yeah,
first one.
yeah, she was.
That
Yes,
was rough.
because that was after the second beasting out in the jungle,
Yes.
because she was carrying me and started having a little panic attack. And I was trying to keep her, her breathing regulated. And then Foxy had a go at me for talking to her. And I remember thinking, oh, it did annoy me at the time because I thought if I was still carrying her on with her breathing, I think she would have been all right.
Yeah. I hated that. I hated the fact that
Yeah,
because I
I
know it's
hated
something,
that
and she's
she
been
left.
on and spoken about it. It's a pretty crazy thing because she was a victim of sexual assault basically, and she spoke about it at length on the podcast. And there's these when she goes into environments of intense physical connection with other people, it really just it throws her out so much. She just spirals into this panic, and I really felt for her because I know she felt so terrible with it.
Oh no! Oh bless her.
Yeah, it's crazy.
She,
So as we moved into the next few days, what did you start to think about, facing the challenges? Because we started swimming in the rivers, we did the high ropes thing, we did the shooting in the forest. The waterfall was amazing.
oh, the waterfall was the best.
Was that,
I
was that your favorite one?
Yeah, that was my favorite. Just it was just stunning at the same time. And I think
Incredible.
just after doing it as well, just sitting there and looking at it was just like just amazing.
Mm.
The run up to it, I must say. I even said to Amelia at one point, I was like, I wanted to, at some point during that run up there, I was wishing her to withdraw, which is awful. And I said at the time, I really wanted you to withdraw because me just standing in that heat
Yeah,
after winning my race as well, having to wait for you to do your laps up and down
yeah.
was killing me. And I was thinking, just withdraw so we can just carry on. And I did apologize for thinking that. I said it to her afterwards. I was like, I'm really sorry I had that thought about you, that I wanted you to withdraw. Because I felt
That was
really
like the
bad.
hidden beasting, wasn't it? Because that
Yeah,
was, I mean, she went over. She had heat stress, heat exhaustion. Scott, bless him, threw his guts up, didn't he? It was
yeah,
that
yeah.
was one of those days that were
I
really,
was luckily sitting in front of Scott when he was chucking his guts up. So
yeah.
that was nice to be.
It did, though, didn't it? It took so many people by
Yeah,
surprise, that beasting.
yeah, that was, and there's just the heat that day was just insane.
Yeah.
But both of them did trooper through it. I'm really glad they got to do the abseil after because it was just amazing, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I was
absolutely loved
thinking
it.
to myself, like, Foxy, like, this is not going to make TV because they got to the bottom and Foxy was like, how was that? And I think everyone else maybe had been quite serious before. And I was like an excited Duracell bunny, like, oh my God, I want to do it again.
Yeah. I think all of us in our own little ways will be sort of gutted because there'll be so many things that don't make it. So, I mean, is it 6 episodes, something like that? 6 episodes, 45
Yeah,
minutes each. So there'll be a whisper of a thing of people's
yeah,
experiences in each of it. But that's why I think things like this are so important to try and capture it because by the time even it comes out, I think we'll have forgotten 80% of it is the
yeah.
problem.
Plus, they won't show all of, like, it, as horrible as it was, like intense and everything. The amount of fun we actually did have, we had so
Oh,
many jokes and like laughter in that bedroom. It was unreal.
yeah.
Yeah, so they and which they don't show any of that either because they want the show to be quite serious, don't they?
Yeah, yeah, you only get those few little glimpses of when people are in there, or if they're crying or something like that. Bless them. So as the days kind of went on, I think it was one of the beastings on the yard, maybe a day or two later, or maybe 3 days later. Well, that's when I think we lost like four people then, didn't we? There
That
was
was on the third day, yeah.
a third day. Yeah, we lost Scott on the mountain, I think, earlier on or something like that, and then that beasting was where we lost quite a few.
Yes. Leah left then. Who else had left that day?
Stephen,
And Amelia left that day as well, didn't she?
Stephen go as well.
Steve,
Can't
did
remember.
you go that day or the day after?
I know a few people tried to hand their armband in and actually were like encouraged to keep going as well, though I'm not sure who they were. It'd probably be harsh for me to say, but I know a few people had said that they'd tried to give their armband in
Oh,
and were
wow.
sort of challenged and sort of cracked on with it. But that was a rough one. I was scared for Steve and Rosie, bless her, when we did that swim because they really
Yeah.
couldn't swim, bless them.
Oh, that was the day that we swam with our bags
Yes.
in the lake in front.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
the day. And people got
Yeah,
leeches and stuff on them.
Rosie. Oh, bless her. I remember even on the first day, like she'd said to me, I'm not a great swimmer. And when we jumped off them boats on the first day, I looked around and I was like, Rosie, you all right? Like, put my thumb up to her. And she was like, yeah. So I just swam off. And then all
Yeah.
of a sudden I was like, where is she? And what's going on? And I remember, I think it was Daniel was dragging her. Was
Yeah.
it Daniel? I think it was Daniel was just dragging her along. And I was like, oh my God, I left her, bless her.
Well, that's it. She actually learnt to swim to come on the show, and I was like, Jesus Christ, I can't believe that. With the greatest of respect, that they'd because what do we have to do? Like an 800-meter filmed swim or something?
Yeah.
I was like, bless them. They must have really struggled through that. But obviously, it's an opportunity to see people go through challenges. But yeah, I think had there have been much more swimming involved in different aspects and challenges, that would have probably done them.
She did on the day after I left when they had to do the helicopter challenge. So they had
Mm.
to swim to the helicopter ladder.
Yeah.
Apparently Rosie didn't swim very far and then was like, oh, me in the boat had to come and get her.
Oh, bless her.
So she didn't make it up there. Um,
Was that her VW? Was it?
no,
Oh, the boat just had to come and get her.
yeah, the boat just had to come and save her. She got medically withdrawn because of her feet
Oh, did
in the
she?
end. Yeah, because her feet were so bad, she literally couldn't even walk.
I'm speaking to Rosie this weekend, so we'll jump on and talk about that. I didn't know she'd gotten to that point with her feet because that was one of the things with Scott where he had just, he
Well, he
just
cut it open, didn't he? Like vertically.
yeah, right down the middle. He just started opening up, but he never took his boots off.
No, no, and I think that was the key.
Yeah,
And
was
not
the
to
game
put too
changer.
much talc or too much Vaseline on them so they could breathe as well. Because
Yeah.
I was so lucky with my feet that even as much as they swelled up on afterwards, after taking my boots off, they literally swelled up to like the biggest feet I've ever seen in my life. Um, and then getting on the aeroplane made them twice as bad. I didn't actually suffer that badly with my feet. They've been a bit dry apart from that, but
No,
yeah,
coming back, yeah, mine are still peeling like a snake now, but they were absolutely
yeah,
fine when I was out there. I was just taking them off as often as I could,
yeah.
and just trying just letting them air basically. I did put a bit of tape on it here and there, just preventative measures and stuff
Oh
like that
yeah,
around a
I
couple of
did
my
them.
toes. So, what day did you go and what? Because obviously I got pulled out and tore my knee open basically. What was it like over the next couple of days?
Do you know what? The sound of your knee literally made me feel sick inside. As you hit the floor, I heard it, and I was like, oh,
It's never a
I
nice.
was
I've torn a
absolutely
ligament
gutted.
before, and it was a really sad, pathetic way to get withdrawn. To be honest, it was
No,
like the
it
safest
wasn't.
environment. No, I mean, it was the safe. We fucking been in lakes and rivers and up mountains and
But
down
to be
waterfalls.
fair, we were boxing on a
I
concrete.
and that's one of those things that you think about in the afterwards, and you're like, what the fuck? Because when you look at the show, you're like, they do it on mud or on sand. I'm like, what the fuck were we doing on a concrete floor? Do you know
Yeah,
what I mean? I was like, that was
yeah.
fucking stupid, but it did
Especially if
look
someone got
beautiful.
knocked out.
Yeah, I know. I thought, what if somebody? Well, I initially was like worried about cracking my elbow. I thought if one of us goes down, I'm probably gonna smack her elbow or something. But
Yeah,
yeah, no, it was just one of those shit things. I whatever was hitting him in the head, let him go. We kind of tussled. I stepped backwards and just pop, and that did me. You know what I mean? And I had a little cry because I was like, I'm torn things before, and I'm like, I know that's me fucked. I know I
yeah,
wasn't I wasn't no better or worse than anybody else, but I wasn't struggling mentally. Physically, I was fine. And when that went, I was just like, it just felt like I felt like I'd been stolen. I just
yeah.
really, really, really tore me up. That did. But anyway, what the hell happened after that? Because that was the biggest thing for me. I was like, God, I'm so jealous. Everyone's. I struggled with that bit because I knew you folks would have had some amazing things. So, what did you have over the next few days?
You was there for rifle shooting, weren't you?
Yeah, we did the rifle shooting, but then I didn't
Yeah.
do the handgun bit. I don't know if you did the handgun bit.
Yeah.
How,
Well, I say I did
how did you
the
find that?
handgun thing.
Yeah.
Um, no, I literally turned to shit on that challenge and cried instead of doing
Oh
anything
no.
useful.
Why?
Yeah. So it was like a real life marketplace. There was like a little kids' school outside. As the bus come up, we can hear all these kids singing nursery rhymes and stuff, happy at school. And then we're like just thrown into this marketplace one at a time. You've got to find this terrorist, go look for him, and take him out. So like going through the market, there's like literally real life people there, and you're looking for this terrorist guy. And I spotted him, said to Chris, he's there. He was like, what are you gonna do? So as I went to pull my gun out, he grabbed this little old lady and stuck a gun to her head. And I
Shit.
just freaked the fuck out and just started crying and was just like, he's gonna shoot her. I'm not gonna shoot him.
Oh bless.
So I fouled and then was a complete emotional wreck for quite some time after that. Um,
Well, yeah, it's something that no one's ever trained for. Certainly none of us. Never trained for, never prepared for, and
no,
suddenly gets very real.
um, yeah, I didn't cope very well with that at all, to be honest with you. I
How have
think
you
it was
found it the
more,
next few days after it?
I beat myself up. And then what did we do the next day? I really beat myself up about that. The next day, was it gas the next day? So we just literally did not sleep because we was told that at some point this we was told where our RV point was.
Okay.
So we knew at some point we was going to get woken up in the middle of the night and have to find the RV point. And so we was all like apprehensive for it. You're thinking, right, so tonight we're going to get woken up in the middle of the night and we're going to have to go out. So then you don't sleep because you're waiting for that moment where you're going to get woken up and have to
Yeah.
run somewhere. The next day, it actually happened, and we didn't sleep at all. Gas, gas, gas! Like they're coming, gassing the whole bedroom in the middle of the night. You're having to try and get dressed, plus put a gas mask on, and then running in the pitch black of night to your safe point. And then once we were there, we noticed that there was 2 people missing, and obviously they'd been captured. So then we had to do like a recon mission to get our people that had been captured back.
Okay.
Was Danica and Daniel. And then we basically in teams of 5 had to go in and save them at this, like these different houses and stuff. I caused an injury to my knee where I need a battering ram, which was not nice. I don't know why. Someone goes to me, Beck, can you carry that? And I'm just go, yeah, all right. And then
was it like a big red enforcer key, the battering ram?
It was, yeah, like a black one, and it was so heavy.
Yeah.
I'm trying to climb walls with this big of my rifle and everything, the size of me as well. I just go, yeah, I'll carry it, I don't mind.
So you twatted your knee on it?
Yeah, twatted my knee on it. So like injured my knee. We all basically got rollicking because we was all not great at it.
Was that one not great? Did it not go well? Did you rescue them?
Yeah, we rescued we had Daniel to rescue, and we rescued him. But we did get moaned at for battering down a door that we didn't need to do because there was another door in the room that we could have just walked by.
That's all right.
But it was a bit more like we was just not doing 100, like, other challenges, you kind of do it and you get rewarded and it kind of makes it worth it, gives you a bit of pick-me-up.
Yeah.
Over the next few days, I think we just kind of was just more and more.
You shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not getting that positive affirmation, that positive feedback.
Obviously I had a groin injury from that 3rd day beasting as well.
Yeah.
So I was seeing the doctor a lot for that. Obviously the poo situation as well.
Yeah. Did you poo at all while you were there?
No.
Jesus, Beck.
I had one after a cup of coffee, but it literally was like the size of a rabbit poo, and that was it.
Fuck.
And I was on laxatives for 4 days.
What, whilst you were in it, did they give you them?
Yeah, I was on laxatives 3 times a day. And yes, I still hadn't gone. So by this point, everything was all a bit shit.
Yeah, literally, you were filling up.
Was you there when we did the back cave drop?
No, I heard about that one. That was incredible.
That was so cool. That was really cool. Loved that. That was probably the last positive thing that I probably did.
Okay.
That was when Foxy found out that I couldn't poo as well and gave me coffee the next day, which was really nice of him, and made everyone clean the labs as well, which was nice.
They were filling up, weren't they?
Yeah. So he gave us some disinfectant the next day because he found out I couldn't poo. So that was nice of him to have done that.
It's a good egg. So after you'd had that final positive one with the bat cave, what was those final few days for you like, and what do you think it was? What was the straw that broke the camel's back? Sorry, what was that last day like for you?
I think we was all really struggling. I remember on one of my really long sits on the toilet trying to make some movement happen, I was chatting to Levi, and I was basically like, I think I need to go home. Like, I think it's my time. I think I'm done. And he kind of just give me a little boost, like, Beck, this is nothing compared to what you've been through in your life. Like, you can do another few days of this. So I think I was starting to mentally struggle a little bit as well.
Mm.
Um, but he kind of boosted me up a bit. There'd been some, shall we say, how can I say it? There'd been some conflict within camp at this
We've
point.
gone into that in quite some depth with a couple of the other teammates when so you're free to talk about that. But yeah, there was one individual that was really not vibing very well with the rest of the team.
No. So yeah, I'd had a few conflicts with Faye at this point as well.
Mm.
Um, and I just think I didn't like that. I think not in my day-to-day life now, if I don't get on with people or if people don't gel with me or if my morals aren't sitting right with
Yeah, if they
them,
don't share the same values as you do.
yeah, I can walk away from them. I don't have to have them in my life. I can be
Yeah,
civil, but then at the end of the day, I go home to my home and then I choose who I want to spend my time with from there or
yeah.
choose who to invite to my house. Um, when you're somewhere like that and it's you can't get away from them,
Mm.
especially when they sleep in the bed
I was
next
going to say
to
she was next to you, wasn't she?
you. Yeah. Um, yeah, just really I think
Were
I
you on
started
sand duty cleanup then? Was that your role?
oh yes, I was on sand duty cleaner.
You
No,
had a big job then.
I do like to clean. It's really good for my mental health, I think, just to like
You were one of the first ones, to be fair. You were like, guys, we need to keep this shit in order because we've got to live in this, for the next 10, 11
yeah.
days, 2 weeks, whatever.
So yeah, I was sweeping her sand out the door every day, unknowingly.
You
That
must have been thinking at some point, but maybe just not because there was a lot of shit everywhere.
I really didn't clock. And I literally, for days on end before I left, I was like, are you shitting out sand in the middle of the night? Because there's always a pile of sand under your bed. And my head still didn't click that it must have been from her bag.
It's such a strange thing though, because when we've gone through things like that with the rest of the team, you just don't guess those sort of things. And then when there was the reps
No.
and the Vaseline and all the other stuff.
Even the Vaseline, I was just like, oh, it must have been put in someone's locker or someone's bag that's left. And they've
Yeah.
just gone. That's the logical explanation for it.
Hmm.
Not that somebody else had taken it, put it in their locker, and not even offered it to their best friend in here or their closest friend in here, whose feet are suffering the worst out of anyone.
Hmm.
Um, I think, yeah, that's probably what annoyed me most about Faye. Not that she'd personally hurt me because I couldn't give a crap,
Hmm.
but that she'd hurt someone that we all cared about each other. We was all in there together as a team. We was a family by the end of it.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, that she'd potentially hurt someone that I really cared about. That is what annoyed me the most.
Hmm.
Um, and then to carry on being quite snidey as well, I just did not appreciate. And the fact that even when I confronted her about the issues, she continually still lied when there was no need.
Yeah. Could have just had that moment and put your hand up and gone, like, I'm just struggling a lot. I'm being a bit of a dick. I'm really sorry.
Yeah. Or even have said, oh, I put that Vaseline in my locker and I didn't realise, sorry. Would have
Yeah.
been
Would
enough.
have been an out.
Yeah. But it was just lie upon lie. Yeah.
It's crazy. So
Yeah.
when you hit that final sort of 24 hours, what was the moment for you where you were like, no, I'm done. I want to be home now.
Um, we played murder ball first that I loved because I got to pummel Faye to the ground quite a few times um, and squidge her face in some mud, which I like literally loved. I think it gave me a new lease of life for a little
Okay.
while. Um, but after that, Levi got medically withdrawn because of his
Yeah.
groin,
God.
and him going really took a massive effect on me, I think, because he really picked me up in there, especially a couple of like the days before this.
Yeah.
He'd really like mentally kept me on the right track.
Hmm.
I think as well, other people started to do really well in there. Rosie had really come out of herself at this point. She was always singing and dancing, and when you just, I just think, and Daniel, well, he always seemed really strong.
Yeah.
Um, but when you start looking at other people and thinking, I know, obviously, we all put a smile on our faces and like just get on with things, even though we're like dying inside. I
Yeah.
am, I am probably one of the worst people for that. But I think I looked at all these other people that were doing really strong, and it probably subconsciously made me go, I'm probably done very
Yeah.
soon. Um, but I was still powering on. I was still thinking, I will make it to the end. It's only 72 hours left.
Yeah.
And then that day we got up. What had we done in the morning? Oh, murder ball was in the morning.
Right.
And then we went out and had to do this 5K run with our Bergens on.
Oh,
And
well, that equipment move.
yeah, we had to move the equipment. Um, Obviously, as normal, I just got, Beck, can you take this? And I was just like, yep, with my two jerry cans, right, I've got these, I'm just going. And I was like, right, guys, as soon as I start going, I can't stop. Because as soon as I stop with these jerry cans and put them on the floor or anything, that's it. I won't be able to pick them back up again. So I was like a mad woman. As Foxy said, Becky, I bet this is how you walk home from Sainsbury's. Like, with the shopping. And it was a race against the other team.
Yeah.
And I was just like, right, as long as I keep it in front, we've got this. It's going to be all right.
Yeah.
So, and there I was, marching along with my jerry cans. I was at the front, held the front pace for the whole time until we got up this really steep hill, which I didn't know I could have managed to get up in the first place. But the other team was then slightly behind me. And I'm trying to G the rest of the team on, who were then struggling because Ross had also had an injury to his rib.
Yeah, he did that during the boxing.
Yeah. Um, so I got to the top of the hill, was like, oh my God, I've made it. Like, just need to get the other guys up here now. And then Foxy said, no, you need to go back and help them bring their equipment back up, the rest of the equipment back up.
Hmm.
So Ross has run past me and I've run the opposite way to then help Daniel carry the ammo box
Yeah.
up, which was the heaviest item. And obviously, he's not a massive guy either.
No, you're both probably as strong as
Um,
each other, to be fair, aren't you?
yeah. So he'd obviously carried this for some time. Um, and he kept on having to change arms. So we was putting the box down, lifting it up, putting it down, lifting it up, like every couple of yards. And yeah, it just really took a toll on my groin. That was by this point literally killing me. And got to the top of the hill, ran through the marble, the where we did the boxing, so through the marble
Yeah.
bit, ran through there, and in front of me was this the terrain where we had to do murder ball. It was like kind of like quicksandy kind of terrain. It was
Yeah.
horrible. Already gone through it previously. It was hell. And I just looked up at it, and I was with all the team, and bless them, they was like, Beck, come on, we can keep going. And I just thought, I'm holding you back. And that's all that went through my mind was,
Oh.
you're now holding the team back. And I just remember hearing Chris go, withdraw then. And then I did. So I did.
Oh,
Yeah.
that
And
was
I
the
was really
moment.
gutted about it after.
Yeah.
Like when I actually sat and thought about it, I was like, why did I do that? But it was just that moment in time. I think my whole body was exhausted. My brain couldn't function enough to give myself a pep talk to carry on anymore. Um, yeah, and I was really gutted. I sat and I literally cried. I remember Chris tried to talk to me, and all I was thinking was, oh my God, what have I just done? And I was just crying the whole time. And he was like, you did really proud of yourself. Lift your head up. And I was like, I
Oh, bless.
can't.
God,
Yeah. But
crazy.
the best thing was going to have a shower after.
Yeah.
I think the next thought that went through my head was I really want to ring Lee, just so that he could tell me that it was all right that I withdrew. Because you know
Mm.
when you just like revert to being a small child and feeling sorry for yourself and you need someone to tell you it's okay.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I went into that mode, and then it was I really want to have a shower and a bath.
I don't think I've yet come out of that mode, to be honest
No,
with
I
you. No, I
know.
think I'm still in that mode because, whoever I've spoke to and surgeons and physios and my wife and stuff, and they're like, just is what it is. You blew your knee out, and I'm like, yeah, but I wasn't ready.
Yeah,
I was not even wasn't even touching the fucking sides,
no,
and
no.
and for me, I was just like, oh, wow, just yeah,
I went in there as well with 100% guarantee that I wasn't going to withdraw, that nothing could possibly make me.
mm,
Um, and I think it's also like that self disappointment that I actually did it.
mm,
Usually, I'm a woman of my word. If I say something, I will stick to it. And I was just, yeah, really beat myself up about that.
yeah. I knew, having done variety of challenges and records and all this sort of stuff in the past, I knew my body would. I felt very strongly it would be my body that would have to stop me. My body would have to break or snap or pop or pass out or
Yeah.
but yeah. So when you came back and you'd had this, you spoke to Lee, you've spoken to Riley, you've come home, you've spent time with friends and built a new family and rediscovered this drive and this purpose. What do you think's been the biggest thing that's changed about you?
Um, Probably my outlook. I never really was, after I lost Darcy, I never really used to want to think further than the next day.
Okay.
Always because I was very much like, there always could not be the next day,
Yeah.
Um, so I think now I'm a bit more forward thinking. I still don't like to wait for things too long though. If you're going to get things done, get it done now.
100%.
Um, but I definitely have a more positive view on the future. And I want to do so much stuff now.
And you're still so young as well. You've still got plenty of time. You can still do it.
I don't feel that young, but yeah.
How old are you? I probably shouldn't ask you that, but how old are you?
35.
35. So you're 2 years
Yeah,
older than me. The average woman in the UK lives to something like 88, which means you're not even halfway. You're not even halfway.
yeah, there you
You
go.
are a baby. You really are. I am a baby. Do you know what I mean? I like, even with all these injuries and the fuck ups and the promotions or the businesses and the failures and the successes and everything else, still a baby. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? And this next chapter for you is just going to be such an exciting one as Riley becomes more independent and you get your freedoms back and you choose to really fully embrace them. I'm so fucking excited to just be front row with the rest of the team and everybody else cheering you on as you lean into this next chapter.
but at the same time, I wouldn't have been going these places without all you lot either. So you've all had a part to play in it. So
I always
I
call it
think,
fingerprints. We've all,
yeah,
in a non-sexual term, we've all touched each other. We've all left a fingerprint on each
yeah,
other. Do you know what I mean? We've all had an impression and we've all opened up our own perspectives, our own sphere of, wow, yeah, maybe I could do this or maybe I could do that or I'd never considered that before and now it's in my realm of possibility.
yeah. And I think what's nice as well is that because we're all into different kind of sports as well,
Mm.
like I want to try and do a little bit of it what everyone does.
Yeah,
And if we can do it together, that'd be amazing as well.
go and have those adventures. That's what I love
Yeah,
so much about it.
yes, that's what I'm looking forward to.
Well, look, I know by the time this comes out, we'll have all seen each other again. But as yet, we are yet to we'll meet up. I know we're hopefully going to get together and see the whole show, and we're going to see Foxy as well at some point in the new year.
Yeah,
So I know we're going to start ticking those things off. But I've been saying to everybody, look, as we all come back into our own life, just remember that everyone's got their own passions and everything like that. So just because somebody's not available or just because somebody doesn't want to do something, don't let that hold you back from having your adventures and doing the things that you want to do. And that's what I'm so excited for everybody. As I've been listening to people, coming on and speaking about what's next for them. It's such an exciting time.
Yeah, I know. I'm hoping to plan loads of stuff for next year. I was looking at the Spartan races as well.
Spartan races are wicked. I just learned up for the breast cancer. So I do something called the Pink Firefighters, and we raise money for breast cancer awareness. I've just signed up for the London Half Marathon, only because it's sponsored by breast cancer, and that's in April. Because I think with my knee, that's going to be a nice little goal for me. When I get back into running and jumping and lifting and all that sort of stuff. And then, since speaking with a couple of members of the team, I know I've been bounced around in the group a little bit, something like an eco challenge. Spartan races and stuff are always fun. It'd be something cool for us all to get together just for an afternoon.
Yeah.
But I've kind of got something juicier that I'd love to explore with somebody as well.
Okay, you'll have to let me know about it.
I will. It's all going to come out. Look, Becky, I've absolutely loved being able to catch up with you. Thank you so much for your incredible honesty and humility and sharing everything about Darcy and about your son and about just so open and honest. These are so difficult sometimes when people are so cagey, and I just say, just be yourself, just be honest, because that is the purest form of you, and you're such a great example of that, and I think it's such a great example for Riley as well.
Thank you.
Send my love to the family, and I really can't wait. I'll send it, don't you worry. They've been speaking and asking about everybody, because I've told stories about so many people, and they still can't put faces to people, so they don't really know what I'm saying, Becky, or I'm saying Josh or Levi or Scott or whoever, Amelia and Charlotte. They don't know who these people are, so I'm so excited for us all to meet up, and I can point people out in lineups.
Yeah, I literally can't wait.
But look, send my love to everybody, and I look forward to speaking with you soon.
I'll see you soon. It's nice to see your face.
Love you lots. See you soon. All right.
Bye.
Firefighters Podcast is put together to develop, inspire, and hopefully even motivate those individuals who have chosen to serve our communities and be part of the first responder family. It's brought to you by myself, Operational Firefighter Pete Wakefield. If you have enjoyed today's episode and you want to see the podcast continuing, please head over to our Patreon page where you can support the ongoing efforts of the podcast. Please hit that follow, subscribe, or rate button on whatever platform you're listening to. Please support your emergency services responders, and thank you for listening.